Dirt Trax is sponsored by Can-Am. The ride says it all. Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. And by Yamaha Motor Canada. What kind of Yamaha are you?
When it comes to buying a small bore, low-cost ATV, the most important consideration for the buyer has got to be value. These ATVs are not designed to be the biggest, the baddest, the best riding, the smoothest handling, or the trickiest ATVs. So before you buy, you need to ask yourself, just how much am I really getting for my money? ATVs in the low cost and displacement category are designed to give the maximum amount of capability, comfort, and performance at the lowest possible price. So what has Kymco done with their MXU 450i to make it stand out from its competition? Kymco's MXU 450i has proven to be a solid performer with a decent list of pluses that help boost its level on the value meter. Most notably, its front and rear independent suspension setups. Shocks are preload adjustable and there's really nothing fancy about anything under the fenders, but the ride and handling provided by this setup's 7 inches of front and rear travel is good enough to leave you feeling like you got what you paid for. Overall, I would describe the ride on this vehicle as stiff. Even with the spring adjuster set to full soft, you still feel a lot more of what's going on underneath you than you would on a higher end ATV. Handling is a bit nervous and twitchy, with what we would consider to be more than acceptable bar whip tendencies. But again, this is not a blistering fast ATV, so the ride and handling traits are generally not as big an issue as they might be on a larger displacement vehicle. The MXU 450's liquid-cooled 443cc single overhead cam EFI single puts out a claimed 33 horsepower and transfers power to the wheels through a high-low gearbox, CVT transmission, and shaft final drive. Shift on the fly 4x4 is standard, and while the front diff does remain open, having the ability to choose two-wheel drive when you want it is greatly appreciated. Stopping duties are handled by a full set of hydraulic disc brakes and is aided by the transmission use of engine braking to help slow you down. Right and left-hand brake levers control the front and rear brakes separately, and a foot pedal actuates the rears only. In this class, lists of additional features are generally pretty short, but Kymco has done an admirable job of outfitting the MXU 450i with all the necessary items any average rider would ever need. A digital gauge, painted steel racks, front brush guard, and a 2-inch hitch receiver are all standard on the base model. The LE package gets you painted plastics, trick aluminum wheels, a rear storage box, front utility gripper and handguards made by Colpin, and a winch. Overall, the ergonomics of the 450i are good for small to medium riders, but can feel a little bit cramped for bigger folks like me. The seat is comfortable and the floorboards do a good job of keeping you locked onto the bike while still protecting you from mud and dirt. The MXU 450i is built on a smaller platform than its larger displacement counterpart, the MXU 500. This accounts for the smaller cockpit and is yet another common trait of a small displacement, low-cost ATV. At the end of the day, value is what it's all about. But to truly determine the value of a vehicle, it must be compared to its competition. And in this arena, the MXU really stands out. There are only 2 ATVs in this class that are cheaper than the MXU, the Sportsman 400 and the Arctic Cat 425. Since the Arctic Cat and the Kymco are literally the same vehicle with different plastic and shock calibration, you have to base your decision on features. The Polaris is an impossible vehicle to compete with, especially when you look at its cost versus performance comparison. But it's also a larger vehicle that's only available as a base model without EFI or any other fancy upgrades. In the grand scheme of things, Kymco's MXU 450i is a good value in the small displacement, low cost class. It's a quality built ATV with a respectable list of features that performs as good or better than we expected.
In an early episode this season, I installed a Diamondback truck cap on our Dirt Trax vehicle. Now I did this to maximize the efficiency of the cargo space on this truck, and a Diamondback cap does just that, but it also adds some serious style. An easy installation process and under an hour of our time produced huge results and impressed everyone around the Dirt Trax headquarters, especially me, who in utter disbelief was able to accomplish the task in record time. The Diamondback allowed us to not only transport our gear safely, securely, and out of the elements, but added the option of putting 2 ATVs on top of the cab. This meant we no longer needed a trailer for smaller trips, and we were still able to utilize the cargo capacity of the box with such a load. The Diamondback was our first step towards tricking out our truck and did way more than just make it look cool. It's functional to the core. While many trips that we take require us to fly, the truth is a lot of the destinations that you see on Dirt Trax are stories and events that we've driven to. And since we're located a ways up north, we do quite a bit of driving each year with our hosts, camera crew, and all the associated gear we drag along with us across the North American continent. Many events or feature destinations are much easier for us to take our own ATVs and side-by-sides too. Plus, if we have a booth or display, we simply can't fly. When filming a TV show on site, we have quite a bit of stuff that follows us around, and our hardworking cameramen know how to load up a truck with all kinds of cool gear to deliver the best show possible to our loyal viewers. And at the end of the season, we regularly rack up as much as 50,000 miles of highway driving. With all that time spent out on the road, we knew a little hopping up was required to look our best when we show up at your town or event. Now, we like tricking out side-by-sides and ATVs, and a stock truck, well, really doesn't say a whole lot about us. And the truth is, we've usually got a whole lot to say. Lucky for us, only an hour from Dirt Trax headquarters is a world-class performance upgrade shop called The Garage. This facility, owned by the exhaust manufacturer MBRP, is second to none. Can take your car or truck from mild to wild, or just install a cool set of tires and rims. They do it all and have the experience to back it up, with a staff that's focused on delivering ultra-trick, one-off rides. We knew this was the place to take our rig, and are confident the crew at the garage will deliver a vehicle that not only says a lot about who we are, but delivers the performance and durability we require when racking up miles week to week. Early on this season, our otherwise stock Dirt Trax truck received a full vinyl graphics wrap job. And now, thanks to a little help from our friends from the garage, well, okay, probably a lot of help, there is nothing stock about this truck. To say the truck is different would be a vast understatement. The graphics wrap adds something special to the build and changes the look of an otherwise one-color truck. From the ground up, the Dirt Trax rig has been overhauled, featuring a Skyjacker 7.5-inch full suspension lift. Yeah, the attitude of this truck is big. Adding to the lift are 20-inch XD matte black rims and 37-inch Nito trail grapplers that look super aggressive, yet ride quiet on the road and have an excellent wear rating for highway use, because this baby will see a lot of miles out on the open road. While the lift end tires have added a huge amount of height to this truck, I'm shocked at how good it still rides. The crew from the garage knew we wanted a comfortable and confident riding truck, and that's exactly what they delivered to us. A custom 4-inch MBRP dual exhaust exits out the passenger side of the truck, forward of the rear axle. Not having much room for a muffler, this baby is loud and proud. Recon LED taillights out back blend into the wrap, while up front we included a beautiful T-Rex black grille in place of the stock GMC, and a Recon Halo projector beam set of lights that together completely alter the truck's attitude, while adding increased airflow and better light at night. Functionality-wise, we linked the 4-inch custom exhaust with a K&N cold air intake, and also changed the gearing of the vehicle to accommodate the huge 37-inch tires that, with stock bodywork, would not only look way too big, but could actually be illegal. Bushwhacker fender flares keep us rolling legally by covering up the added width of the tires, while the Trick side steps give us easier access to enter the truck. Both of these products were covered with the same Line-X material our Diamondback truck cover has on it and matches perfectly, adding a superior and strong coating that's gonna last for years. With the help of the folks from the garage, we were able to accomplish exactly what I wanted out of a custom truck build. A comfortable and easy to drive truck with head-turning good looks that you're gonna recognize the next time we're at your local ATV or side-by-side event.
Everyone in the off-road business is talking about the versatility of side-by-side vehicles. On this week's episode of Dirt Trax, we're going to take you somewhere in the new Razer 570 from Polaris you may not have been before in a side-by-side vehicle. We're going to drive on tight and twisty ATV trails. Okay, here's the straight goods on the current crop of performance side-by-sides. They're a blast to ride in wide open spaces or on abandoned roads, but not so much on ATV trails. Here's what the new Razer 570 has shown us more graphically than any other pure sport side-by-side has to date. It can be right at home railing tight trails, usually reserved for inherently narrow ATVs. The reason the new 570 is able to navigate ATV trails lies right between the wheels. It's just 50 inches wide. Frankly, I'm getting a little tired of the current crop of pulse-pounding, hyper-powerful pure sport side-by-sides like the Razer 900 XP and the all-new Arctic Cat Wildcat. Okay, it'd be hard to get tired of the kind of power and suspension that those new pure sport side-by-sides produce, but I'll tell you what, it can get frustrating. Riding those pure sports on tight, twisty trails is a real handful. There's more to the 570's prowess on tight trails than just its narrow stance. There's an all-new rear suspension, revised motor placement, and maybe most importantly, a seamless linear band of torque extruding from the all-new ProStar 570 4-valve single overhead cam mill out back. It would be completely accurate to say the new 570 is actually the third Razer iteration as a result of its unique rear suspension. Polaris has taken the best engineering tricks from both the Razer 900 XP, namely its engine placement, and from the Razer 800, its double A-arm rear suspension. Clearly, the future for the Razer platform is the fore-aft engine placement. However, this double A-arm setup on the 570 is unique and offers great ride and suspension quality in a 50-inch stance. So what's the big deal with the new 570? Why are we so taken with this new ride? It's pretty simple, really. We've never had this much fun driving a side-by-side. We're not kidding. The 50-inch stance, combined with tugboat torque from the single-cylinder ProStar, makes navigating ATV trails, formerly the exclusive domain of four-wheelers, so much fun, we can almost leave our sport utility 4x4s back at the ranch. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That plain Jane Razer 570 with ugly steel wheels is going to outrun my Sportsman 550? Go ahead, keep thinking that, because it's exactly what we had to come to grips with after we railed this thing on trails we had never ridden a side-by-side before. For sure, a good four-wheeler is always going to win a run through the trees. However, this thought might boggle your mind. The 570 Razer is actually faster in the woods than either the 900 XP or the Wildcat. Why? Because it fits precisely in the two-track carved out by four-wheelers. Wider, more powerful pure sport side-by-sides get pitched back and forth by deep, narrow two-track and are difficult to keep straight on tight trails. While the Razer 570 is a performance hit, we would like to see some nicer wheels with a little more bling. However, everyone around the Dirt Trax offices agrees we would not trade these ugly steel wheels for pretty ones if they widened out this capable shredder's stance. From the front end, the 570 is pure Razer with its familiar and proven double A-arm IFS. Look closely at the rear and you'll notice there's double A-arms, but not the least bit similar to those used on the 800 Razer. This all-new rear IRS is built for a 50-inch stance and provides excellent ground clearance and plush bump compliance. There's a full-on anti-sway bar here as well. We need to make this clear. The newest ProStar engine from Polaris can perform at a level far above its 570cc displacement. In fact, the 570 can actually outperform the 800 Twin in certain situations. In corner-to-corner pulls, the torquey nature of the 570 will leave the 800 Twin behind. The new Razer 570 won't knock your eyes out like the XP 900. So what? There's a bigger market for a side-by-side that's this capable on trails previously reserved only for ATVs. The safety afforded by a side-by-side and the opportunity for people who might not be comfortable on a four-wheeler to access the same great trails and experience God's creation in a way no side-by-side has previously been capable of seems mighty attractive to me. You've got to wonder how these guys at Polaris keep knocking the ball out of the park in the side-by-side business. This latest Razer variant offers trail-friendly, safe, high-performance side-by-side riding to a whole new group of potential buyers. Take our advice if you're thinking like we did, that a side-by-side might limit your trail fun or your trail access. Let the Razer 570 prove you wrong.
During last season, I set out to build the most extreme Can-Am Commander that I could right here in the Trail Tech shop, and I used the coolest parts available. And if you remember, I think I did a pretty good job at making it sportier. From the ground up, the Commander was totally different in the suspension department, transforming from a reasonably tame trail rig to a fully capable sport side-by-side. Each year, we try to do a cool, but more importantly, functional build to change the way a vehicle works and make it the best it can be. And this year is no different. Well, the vehicle is different, and the purpose is different, and the design is different. Okay, this year it's totally different. One thing I know to be true, ATVers like to get stuck. And when you put a group of us together, we like to outdo each other. So if you find a small muddy section of trail, it can become a competition pretty much in a heartbeat. If I've seen it once, I've seen it 100 times. You get one buddy stuck in a bog, and all of a sudden, everyone thinks they're at the Mud Nationals and a free-for-all ensues, typically ending with at least a couple of ATVs axled or sunk and in need of recovery. So this season, we thought it'd be a good idea to take our build in a different direction. No, we don't want to build a mud runner. Arctic Cat and Can-Am already do a great job of that right from the factory. But one vehicle no one builds is the ultimate recovery rig, designed to bring back our sunk buddies who get in over their heads, quite literally. My goal for this season? To transform a totally stock Ranger XP 800 with power steering into the ultimate recovery tool, venturing where others won't and bringing back those who just didn't make it. The Ranger is the perfect vehicle for this purpose. It's seriously strong, has a reputation as being the hardest working in the business, with a heritage and history like no other utility side-by-side. Not to mention a tried and true 800cc engine that's no stranger to working hard, as we've depicted many times over the years on dirt tracks. While in stock form the 800 Ranger is capable, it's got a long ways to go before I'm gonna drive fenders deep into the mud. The first and most obvious step to our build is increasing the ground clearance of our Ranger. Most ATVs will get stuck in a mud bog when the vehicle settles down to the bottom and finds the ruts. Due to the lack of ground clearance, you get high-centered. That's where my local Ontario friends from Rubber Down Customs come into the mix. They produce high-quality lift kits for just about any ATV or side-by-side you can imagine at incredibly low prices. On average, for just a couple $100, you can take your rig up 2 or 3 inches over stock height, allowing you to fit the biggest mud tires and maximize your ground clearance. Rubber Down focuses on ease of installation and durability of the products that they offer. This lift is super beefy and doesn't have me worried for 1 second about strength at all. This is lifting at its simplest. While elite mud runners might bark at this type of shock extension lift kit, the truth is 90% of off-roaders are going to be more than happy with a lift like I'm installing today. It's easy on your pocketbook, easy to do yourself, and requires nothing more than a simple removal of the upper shock bolt, installation of the shock relocating bracket, and then reinstalling the upper shock bolt on all 4 corners. Rubber Down keeps it simple and supplies you with all the info you need to accomplish this in just a few hours. With the lift kit installed, I think we've easily picked up 2 inches of ground clearance over stock. But the truth is, ground clearance wasn't my main goal for this install. It's gonna help, but what I really needed was the space to clear an incredibly insane set of 30-inch Mudlight XXLs that would have absolutely chewed the fenders off our Ranger. With a 1.3-inch paddle-style lug, the Mudlight XXL looks big no matter how you stack it. However, at 30 inches, it's just plain incredible. A 6-ply sidewall is strong and ready for just about anything we can throw at it. We opted to use the same 10-inch tire width on all 4 corners of the Ranger, so if we encounter a problem, the 5th full-size spare can be used as a backup and easily changed trailside. A very cool feature of ITP's Mudlight XXL is the weight. While you might expect a behemoth like this to tip the scales, the truth is it's lighter than most of its competition, meaning that we can use a beadlock rim that's a little beefy without adding too much weight overall. ITP's T7 beadlock rim is where it's at. A chrome rim with a black stylized beadlock ring doesn't just make our rig look hardcore, it's a true beadlocking design that clamps the tire to the rim. If we need to decrease the pressure in the tires to help with traction, we can be assured the tire will make every rotation the wheel does, while the extra girth of the billet aluminum beadlocking ring gives added sidewall protection. Adding our rubber down lift and 30-inch ITP tires is a great start to making it both in and out of tricky situations. But the truth is we still have a long ways to go. So tune in to future segments where we're going to continue our recovery build here on Dirt Trax Television.
Can't get enough of Dirt Trax Television? Log on to DirtTraxTV.com to watch all your favorite episodes and visit our Facebook page to share your thoughts with other fans of Dirt Trax. Dirt Trax Television has been sponsored by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Can-Am, the ride says it all. And by Arctic Cat, share our passion.